Ever feel like you're just completely lost in the maze of modern dating? Like you're really putting yourself out there trying to connect, and then boom, silence or mixed
Yeah.
signals, or they just, vanish. If you're nodding along right now, seriously, you are so not alone. That feeling, the frustration, the confusion, sometimes just feeling kind of hopeless about finding someone, it's really widespread. And that's exactly what we're diving deep into today. Modern dating is broken. Can Gen Z fix love? It's a huge question, right? Why does finding a real connection feel so hard right now? We've really dug into this fascinating source, Gen Z and modern love, fixing broken dating, and some related research. Our goal is to pull out the absolute key insights for you. So our mission today, we want to unpack all the complexities, figure out the real issues that make dating feel like such a battle, and importantly, explore some actual tangible ways we can maybe find more fulfilling connections. Think of this as your shortcut, your guide to getting up to speed on something that, let's face it, affects almost all of us. We'll hit the key facts, maybe even share a laugh or two.
And it's striking, isn't it, how common this feeling is.
Yeah.
It's not just a few bad dates here and there. It's like a collective groan, especially from younger people who are trying to figure out romance in this really dynamic, sometimes baffling landscape. We're going to look at the specific things that make it feel so broken, the phenomena, if you will. And then, yeah, try to understand the why behind it all, the deeper stuff.
Okay, let's get into it. We've all said it, right? Modern dating is, well, it's kind of a mess. It's like this emotional roller coaster. You feel dizzy. Sometimes you even feel a bit used.
Yeah.
1 minute, you think you've got this amazing connection, like real chemistry, things are clicking, and then poof, they're gone, ghosted. You're left wondering if you just made the whole thing up. Or maybe you get those late night miss you texts, right?
Oh, yeah.
But then a week later is, oh, I'm not really looking for anything serious.
I'm just not ready for commitment. Classic.
Exactly. It's this constant state of limbo. You never really know where you stand, if you even stand anywhere. And we've even come up with this whole new vocabulary to describe it all, haven't we?
Yeah.
Like situationships. It's not just a buzzword, is it?
No, it describes something very real, that undefined space.
Right. You're definitely more than friends. There's intimacy, maybe physical stuff. But you are absolutely not a couple. No label, no direction, just ambiguity.
A frustrating limbo where feelings are involved, but commitment is like completely off the table.
It's like a relationship with a question mark hanging over it that never gets answered. You're just stuck hoping. And then there's ghosting. Ooh! Feels like everyone goes through this now.
It's become way too common.
That sudden, unexplained disappearing act, you're talking, maybe making plans.
And then just nothing. Radio silence.
No explanation, no goodbye, just gone.
And it's not just rude, it can really mess with your head.
Totally. The source points out how it hits your insecurities, makes you replay everything.
Wondering what you did wrong. Did it even mean anything to them?
It's that lack of closure. It's brutal. It makes it so hard to trust the next person.
That's exactly it. The impact of ghosting, it goes way beyond just one connection ending badly. It's the psychological hit of being dismissed like that. Without a word, it breeds self-doubt. And it makes you, understandably, more guarded next time, less willing to be vulnerable. It really says something about how uncomfortable we've become with just being direct, doesn't it?
Yeah, like just say you're not interested.
Right. Avoiding that tiny bit of awkwardness causes real hurt.
And speaking of communication, or the lack of it,
Yeah.
how about dry texting?
Oh, the worst.
You're trying, right, asking questions, putting the effort, and you get back these, like, one-word answers or just an emoji.
Yep. Minimal effort. Maximum frustration.
It feels like pulling teeth, and
Yeah.
it just screams, I'm not interested.
But they won't just say that.
No. So you're left feeling like you're talking to a wall, wondering why you're even bothering. And all these things, the situationships, the ghosting, the dry texts, they all seem to feed into this bigger thing, this like widespread fear of commitment.
Definitely. No.
People seem so reluctant to actually define things, to move past that talking stage.
Which can go on forever.
Right. Into something exclusive, or even just admit, yeah, this is more than casual.
It's like the label itself is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's too real, too binding. Is it about keeping options open, or just fear of vulnerability?
Probably a mix of both, I think.
And yeah, that prolonged talking stage you mentioned, our source talks about this too. Weeks, sometimes months, of just chatting, texting, maybe hanging out occasionally, but never a real date.
It's like the world's longest movie trailer.
Exactly. And the movie never starts. The source actually joked that some talking stages last longer than some marriages.
Wow. Yeah, it's funny, but also kind of sad.
Yeah.
It really captures that unwillingness to commit, doesn't it? Yeah, that humor, it hits close to home for a lot of people, but it points to something serious. That talking stage is the perfect example of the choice paradox and commitment fear we were just talking about.
Hmm.
You get the little thrill of potential, right? Low-stakes connection.
Yeah.
But none of the real vulnerability or effort needed for an actual relationship.
It's like an emotional holding pattern.
Exactly. And it's draining if you're actually looking for something real.
Yeah.
What's really fascinating, though, is understanding why these things are so common now. The source we looked at mentioned a 2022 Pew Research survey.
Oh, yeah. What did it find?
It found that a huge number, like 63% of Gen Z singles, say dating today is harder than it's ever been.
63%. Wow.
Yeah, a clear majority feeling this struggle.
Mm.
And they point some specific reasons why. One of the big ones, just too many options.
Right. Which sounds good in theory.
Exactly. More choice, more freedom. But actually, having too much choice can lead to what psychologists call decision paralysis.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
When you're constantly bombarded with new profiles, endless scrolling, it's hard to just pick one and invest.
There's always that feeling that maybe someone better is just one more swipe away.
Precisely. That grass is greener thing.
Right.
It keeps you in searching mode, not building mode.
Like you're always shopping, never buying.
Yeah. And it makes it really hard to, as the source says, go deep with anyone.
It really is that paradox of choice, isn't it? Applied to people. So many options, but nothing feels real because you're always looking sideways.
Yeah.
And that connects to another reason Gen Z mentioned, right? The mixed signals.
Absolutely. When you're swimming in this sea of options, clear communication often just goes out the window.
People aren't sure what they want, or they're trying to keep their options open.
Often the latter, I suspect, sending these really ambiguous messages. Hot one day, cold the next.
Super interested, then suddenly distant.
Yeah, it's confusing. It breeds uncertainty. You have no idea where you stand or if they're even genuinely interested.
Exactly. And that ambiguity gets amplified by another factor the research points to, the fear of rejection.
Ah, yeah. That's huge.
In this world of endless options, getting rejected can feel, well, maybe even more intense.
Or just easier to avoid.
Right. If someone doesn't text back, or a first date is just okay, it's often easier to just swipe on, move to the next.
Instead of facing an actual no, or putting yourself out there and risking getting turned down directly.
Yeah, it's avoiding that discomfort. But that avoidance means you sacrifice the chance for real connection, to feel, momentarily safer.
Which is ironic because it probably leads to more loneliness in the long run.
Mm-hmm. And then there's this really tricky one. The pressure to be chill.
Ugh, yes. The need to seem completely unbothered.
Totally. Like you have to appear laid back, cool, not too invested.
Yeah.
Even if you really, really like someone.
Showing actual enthusiasm, being direct, asking for clarity. Suddenly you're too much. Or intense. Or, the worst one, needy.
Right. So you end up performing, hiding how you really feel.
Which is exhausting.
Yeah.
And totally counterproductive. Becomes a game of who can care less.
When real connection needs the exact opposite, caring and showing it. Wow. Okay, so when you put all that together, what does it actually mean for someone trying to date now? It's clear these things aren't separate issues. They all weave together, right?
Absolutely. They feed off each other.
Creating this dating world that's not just confusing, but also just tiring. So tiring.
Yeah. Emotionally draining.
You're constantly on edge, overthinking texts, guessing intentions.
Takes so much mental energy.
No wonder 63% of Gen Z says it's harder than ever. It feels like the whole system is designed to wear you down. Okay, so here's where it gets maybe a bit more focused and possibly uncomfortable for some of us listening, because we have to talk about the giant elephant in the room, dating apps.
Mm-hmm. Tinder, Bumble, Hinge.
Yeah.
They're just part of the landscape now.
Yeah, inescapable. And look, on the surface, they promise so much convenience, right? All these potential matches.
It's an endless pool, supposedly.
What's the reality? What have they actually done for real connection?
Well, stepping back, it connects directly to what we were just saying about choice. The apps offer this illusion of infinite choice, but it often leads to that paralysis the source mentioned.
Too many options, so you choose none. Or keep looking.
Exactly. The paradox of choice, supercharged. Your brain gets overwhelmed. You swipe, you match, maybe exchange a few messages. Then what?
You just keep swiping.
Right. Because the next potential match is always right there. It encourages browsing, not engaging. Makes it hard to go deep.
It feels like we're stuck in permanent window shopping mode, doesn't it? Looking
Mm.
for people instead of connecting with them. And the scary part is the apps are kind of designed to keep us that way.
Mm-hmm.
Our sources mention this brain fact that swiping gives us small dopamine hits similar to gambling.
That's a really important point. It's not just a feeling, it's neurochemistry.
Every match, every notification, it's a little reward.
Like pulling a lever on a slot machine. It uses variable reinforcement, unpredictable rewards, which is highly addictive.
So it keeps you hooked on the process, the seeking.
Exactly. Hooked on the hunt for connection, rather than the actual, maybe slower work of building it. And this gamification, turning dating into a game, it has really serious behavioral consequences. It encourages what the source calls an addiction to the idea of love, the excitement, the fantasy,
Rather than the reality.
rather than embracing real vulnerability, the messy, sometimes difficult work of actual connection. The thrill comes from the potential, the next swipe, not the investment in one person.
Yeah.
The apps, as the source says, made dating a game,
Yeah.
but real love. It's not a game. It needs vulnerability, effort, honesty. The opposite of a quick swipe.
That's so true. When it becomes a game, you start treating people like, well, like disposable characters, right? Not
Mhm.
like real people with feelings. You're trying to win or get matches, not build something meaningful. It devalues the whole thing.
Yeah. And if we look at the bigger picture, the psychological impact goes deeper than just annoyance with swiping. A huge consequence is the erosion of vulnerability.
How so?
Well, think about it. It's so easy to disengage. Ghosting is just a tap away. Unmatching is instant. Moving on is effortless.
Right. No consequences, really.
So why would you risk being truly vulnerable, sharing your real self, when the other person can just vanish instantly?
Yeah. You learn to protect yourself, put up walls.
Exactly.
Hmm.
It creates this self-protective shield that makes genuine intimacy incredibly difficult to achieve. And, maybe more subtly, the whole app environment might be changing how we even view potential partners.
Like how?
It's this endless stream of faces, short bios, almost like scrolling through products online.
Oh, wow.
It can subtly shift our perception towards seeing people as commodities, as interchangeable options, rather than unique individuals.
Like you're shopping for a partner based on specs, height, interests.
Right. And if they don't immediately check all the boxes, it's
Yeah.
easy to just discard and move on.
Instead of giving a connection time to actually grow and reveal itself.
Precisely. It can foster a disposable mindset.
That's a really powerful, kind of disturbing point, how the tools we use shape how we think about connection itself. Okay, it's crucial to say, right? While apps are a massive factor,
Definitely.
it's not just the apps. A lot of these struggles run deeper. They come from bigger societal things, internal battles, especially for Gen Z. Let's talk about that specific emotional landscape for Gen Z in love. The sources pointed out a few key things. First, maybe unsurprisingly, trust issues.
Makes total sense.
Given everything we've just talked about, the ghosting, the breadcrumbing, the commitment phobia,
If you get let down repeatedly, if people disappear, if they won't define things,
you naturally start to mistrust. It's a defense mechanism, isn't it?
absolutely. You go into new situations guarded, expecting the worst.
Which makes it almost impossible to be vulnerable and open up. It just feeds the cycle.
And that mistrust connects directly to another struggle, the constant comparison on Instagram.
Ugh, the highlight reels.
Exactly. These perfectly curated images of couple goals, the aesthetic vacations, the gushy captions.
They look more like ads than real life.
Right. And it creates this completely unrealistic standard. You end up comparing your own messy real-life relationship or lack of one to these filtered fantasies.
And I feel totally inadequate. Like your love life isn't good enough if it doesn't look like that.
It breeds insecurity, self-doubt, dissatisfaction.
Totally. And tied to that is the pressure to look perfect.
Yeah.
Not just in curated photos, but like all the time online.
Maintaining the flawless persona.
Always looking good, doing cool things, living this envy-worthy life.
It's exhausting.
And that pressure leaks into real-life dating, doesn't it? Impacts your self-esteem.
Hugely. You become hyper-aware of how you're perceived, how you measure up,
So you're performing instead of just being yourself.
which stops anyone from seeing the real, imperfect you. It kills authenticity. And what's so interesting here is the painful contradiction it all creates. This feeling of loneliness despite connection.
Right. You can be connected to hundreds, thousands of people online,
Followers, matches, friends.
but still feel incredibly isolated.
Because those digital ties are often superficial.
Mm.
They lack the real depth, the intimacy, the vulnerability that actually combats loneliness.
So you have a wide network, but maybe few truly deep connections where you feel seen and understood.
It's a very modern kind of isolation.
So we see these perfect couple goals, the filtered love stories, the soft launches online, always the shiny beginning.
Never the messy middle.
Exactly. Our sources nail it. Real love is messy, but we don't see that part online.
And that gap between the curated ideal and the actual reality of
It
relationships.
sets people up for massive disappointment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When real life happens, arguments, compromises, boring days,
Yeah.
it can feel like failure because it doesn't match the online fantasy.
Instead of just normal life, normal relationships.
So this raises a really important question. What's the outcome of all this pressure, this disappointment, this emotional toll? The sources pick up on this feeling, this sentiment that's growing. Some Gen Z individuals are just saying flat out, I don't want to date because it's too exhausting.
Wow. Not just frustrating, but actually exhausting.
Yeah, it's not just a bad mood. It points to something deeper, like a generational burnout from dating itself.
Ugh.
And that kind of widespread fatigue, it has some potentially serious long-term consequences. Think about it. Constant mixed signals, ghosting, unrealistic social media pressure, feeling like you always have to perform, it can lead to a real erosion of hope.
Like you start to believe finding real love just isn't possible.
Exactly. Or that it's not worth the effort and pain. It chips away at that fundamental optimism. You might become cynical, resigned, or just withdraw completely from trying.
It sounds like a kind of emotional self-preservation kicking in.
That's a good way to put it.
If dating consistently feels draining and disappointing, why keep doing it?
Right. You retreat to protect yourself.
Not because you don't want love, but because the way we pursue it right now feels too damaging.
You're trying to safeguard your own mental health from a system that feels broken. It's a rational response, in a way.
Okay, but here's where things take a turn. Here's the hopeful part of this deep dive. Despite all of this, the challenges, the burnout, our sources actually suggest Gen Z can fix it.
There's an optimism there.
Yeah, and the core solution, the big shift needed. It sounds simple, but it's actually huge. It's about bringing back honesty.
Stepping back, yeah, it's about consciously pushing back against all the game playing. Rejecting that whole too cool to care act, the strategic ambiguity.
Letting go of the idea that being vulnerable is weak.
Exactly. The source really emphasizes just being real, saying what you feel, what you want,
It
directly.
sounds so basic.
It does. But in a culture built on hiding feelings and avoiding rejection, being straightforward is like revolutionary.
It takes guts.
It absolutely does. But it's the only foundation for building something real, something based on trust and clarity.
So, what does being real actually look like? In practice, the sources give some really concrete tips, which is great. It's not just theory. And they're all about being intentional.
Mm-hmm. Clarity.
First one, communicate your feelings clearly.
No more hints. No more mind reading.
Right. If you like someone, actually say it. If you're not feeling it or you want to end things, say that too.
Even if it's awkward for a moment.
Yeah. It cuts through the confusion, respects everyone's time and feelings, you know where you stand. Second, and this is huge, stop ghosting, just say you're not interested.
The ethical choice.
Totally. It might feel uncomfortable, but everyone deserves that basic respect, that closure.
Even a simple, polite message makes a world of difference.
Like, hey, enjoyed meeting you, but I don't see this going further, or not feeling a romantic spark, something.
It's so much kinder, less damaging than just disappearing. It fosters respect, even when things don't work out. Absolutely crucial. It honors their humanity. And right alongside that is the third tip. Don't breadcrumb.
Ah, breadcrumbing. Explain that one.
It's when you give someone just enough attention to keep them interested, but never commit. Like random likes, occasional vague texts. Just enough to keep hope alive.
But never actually moving things forward. Stringing them along.
Exactly. It's really damaging because it creates false hope, keeps them stuck, prevents them from finding someone available.
So being clear, even if the no is actually kinder.
Much kinder than keeping someone in limbo.
Makes sense. Okay, next, set boundaries early.
This isn't about being difficult. It's about self-respect.
Knowing your own limits, what you need, what you expect, and communicating that clearly.
Yes, whether it's about exclusivity, communication frequency, how you spend time, emotional availability.
Being upfront protects your energy, makes sure you're on the same page.
It shows respect for yourself and for them too. It's empowering.
Okay, and finally, this feels like a direct counter to the swipe culture. Take time to know someone before expecting perfection.
Yes. moving beyond the instant judgment.
The quick scan of a profile, the superficial checklist.
This is about patience, curiosity,
Yeah.
actually wanting to understand another person.
So instead of looking for this perfect ideal who ticks every box immediately,
Focus on learning who they are, their quirks, their complexities, their vulnerabilities.
let things develop. See if real compatibility emerges over time.
Because perfection is a myth.
Yeah.
Real connection is built patiently. And if we step back again, what all these tips represent really is a huge shift. A shift towards intentionality, honesty, respect in dating, moving away from that transactional, gamified, sometimes dehumanizing approach we've seen.
It takes effort, though, from everyone involved.
It absolutely does. It requires courage, vulnerability, real emotional maturity, and it reframes vulnerability as strength.
Instead of something to hide.
Right. And a culture that prizes being chill, choosing to be open, set boundaries, give closure, that takes real bravery. It shows that emotional maturity isn't weakness, it's the foundation for strong, healthy relationships.
You risk rejection, sure.
But you gain the possibility of genuine connection, which is ultimately way more rewarding.
That's so true. And when people start doing this, they're essentially reclaiming agency, aren't they?
Exactly. You stop being a passive victim of a broken system.
You start actively shaping your own experience.
You're saying, this is how I choose to engage. With honesty, with respect. I'm going to build something real.
It puts the power back in your hands.
Rather than just reacting to algorithms or pressures, you take control of your own dating story, your own happiness.
Okay, so here's the really hopeful message, the core takeaway from the sources after all this analysis. Love is not dead, it's just different. Despite everything, Gen Z absolutely still wants love, deeply. But what they mean by love, what they're looking for, is evolving. It's shifting away from some of the old, maybe superficial ideas.
And what's so interesting is that by grappling with all these dating challenges, this generation is actually developing a more conscious, more intentional, maybe more mature approach to love. They're not just looking for a partner. They're looking for a specific kind of partnership. The sources really highlight three key things: safety, equality, and emotional maturity. These are like the non-negotiables.
Let's break those down. They're so important. Safety, it's not just physical.
No, it's deep emotional safety.
Feeling secure enough to be totally yourself, vulnerable, without fear of being judged or manipulated.
Exactly. A space where trust is absolute. Equality, that means a real balance, doesn't it?
Both voices matter, shared decisions, no weird power dynamics, mutual respect.
Yep. And emotional maturity, that's huge.
Being able to communicate honestly. Manage your emotions, take responsibility, and handle conflict constructively.
All of it. Wanting someone who's self-aware, willing to grow, willing to do the emotional work. And this all points to a really profound shift. Moving away from seeking a perfect person, that flawless ideal, towards finding someone who's willing to grow with you.
Ah, that's powerful. Less focus on a static ideal, more on a shared journey.
Exactly. It prioritizes adaptability, learning together, supporting each other's evolution. It acknowledges that people aren't perfect, they change. And real love is about navigating that together.
It's about building something, not just finding something ready-made.
Yes.
Ditching the fantasy, embracing the real work. And beyond just the big picture, Gen Z seems focused on the core feeling of connection, too. The sources contrast all the superficial stuff, crazy drama or aesthetic selfies, with what really matters. And they boil it down to three things: feeling seen, feeling heard, and feeling respected. Let's unpack those quickly. Feeling seen, like your partner truly gets you right, beyond the surface.
Sees your quirks, your strengths, your vulnerabilities, and embraces it all.
Feeling heard, meaning your thoughts, feelings, concerns are actually listened to, validated, not just dismissed.
Active listening. Real presence.
And feeling respected, your boundaries matter, your individuality is valued, your worth is recognized.
It's the absolute bedrock. The opposite of being treated like a disposable option. So stepping back one last time, the big picture is this. This generation, by confronting the messiness of modern dating and demanding honesty, intentionality, emotional depth, they're actually pushing towards a more conscious, more mature form of love.
They're raising the bar, in a way.
Exactly. Not for superficial perfection, but for genuine connection, respect, and growth. And that means how we define success in dating is changing too.
It's not just about the number of matches anymore or how hot your partner looks on Instagram.
No. Success is becoming more about the quality of the connection. Is there real emotional depth? Mutual respect, shared growth. Do you feel safe, seen, like you belong?
It's shifting towards something much more meaningful, more internal.
A love built on a foundation of emotional intelligence and vulnerability.
Joe. Yeah, there you have it. Modern dating. It might feel broken. And yeah, in a lot of ways it is. But the amazing thing, the hope here, is that it is fixable.
Hmm.
And the fix isn't some new tech or magic bullet. It starts with us, with our individual choices, choosing honesty over playing games, choosing real connection over ego, choosing vulnerability over trying to be chill. And hey, remember this too. In this whole exhausting landscape, it is absolutely okay to take a break.
So important.
Step back, heal, grow, get to know yourself, what you want, what you need, what your boundaries are, what you're worth. Because when you're good with yourself, when you've got your own peace, that's when you can find someone who matches that peace, not just someone who likes the same music, you know?
Mm.
So maybe think about it. What part of this deep dive really hit home for you? What's one small thing you might try differently in how you connect with people? Give that some thought. That's our deep dive for today. Until next time, maybe try to feel a bit more and swipe a little less.